You're listening to For the Record with Tess Hurd. I'm Tess Hurd, and this is For the Record. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Record with Tess Hurd. I'm Tess Hurd, and this is For the Record. This is an update for the first episode posted for the trial of Letecia Stauch. The verdict is in. Now, in case you missed the first episode, Letecia Stauch has been on trial for the murder of her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon Stauch. He was stabbed 18 times, hit in the head with some sort of object that caused his skull to fracture, and was shot in the jaw, going through his spinal cord and ultimately killing him. She put his body in a suitcase, hid the suitcase, hid his body, then decided to take the suitcase with his body in it down to Florida and throw it off of a bridge. About 2 months after he was murdered, his remains were found under the bridge where he was thrown off of, and ultimately Letecia was charged with his murder. She has absolutely denied that she had anything at all to do with his disappearance and ultimately his death. Well, we all know now that that is not true. That she was the one who was solely responsible for his disappearance and his death. She has pled not guilty by reason of insanity. If you listen to the previous episode, then you'll remember me saying that Letecia is crazy. That's not up for debate. She is quite literally absolutely bonkers. However, insanity? I don't think so. At least, not personally. So, what did the jury decide? That has been the burning question in my mind. And I'm about to give you the answer. Guilty on all 4 counts. Letecia Stauch has been found guilty on all 4 counts. Now, I realize that I didn't go into detail in the first episode about what her charges specifically were. So she was charged with murder in the first degree, murder of a child under the age of 12 in the position of somebody they trusted, or it has a little bit of a different wording. Tampering or moving a body and then tampering with evidence. So she has been found guilty. Her insanity plea did not work. Letecia Stauch is going to jail. I know I may be a little bit too excited, but you guys, this case has tugged at my heart for the last several weeks. I don't remember exactly when it was that I first heard about it, but Big Mad True Crime did the case of Gannon, I think a week or two before the trial started, and the trial has been going on for 5 weeks. So that's been about 7 or 8 weeks ago now. So if you haven't listened to Big Mad True Crime with Heather Ashley, you need to go and listen to it. And if you go back, you will find the case of Gannon Stauch and hear the podcast episode on it. So I listened to that episode and it absolutely ravaged my heart. It broke me down. And I didn't realize that the trial was upcoming. And then in a week or two after hearing that and seeing the Law and Crime Network covering it on YouTube, I watched every single day of this trial. I listened to every testimony. I listened every word they spoke in that trial. I listened to. And I was going to be infuriated if they did not find her guilty. I don't even know how to explain how relieved I am to know that they found her guilty. They're currently waiting. The verdict was read at, I'm in Central Time, so at about uh, 2:45 Central Time on May 8th, 2023. This episode is going to be published as soon as I get done recording. So the day it's published is the day that all this happened. So after announcing the verdict, they are going to go straight into sentencing. The judge needed about half an hour to go and talk to the jury in the jury room about the process of coming out of jury duty and everything. And so once he comes back from that, then they're going to get into the sentencing. Now, I have heard that Colorado has abolished the death penalty, but because this happened on January 27th of 2020, that was before the death penalty was abolished in Colorado. So there is the possibility that Letecia could be facing the death penalty. I don't think that that's the case because last week the judge did say that the case was about a little boy who lost his life and a woman who could be facing life in prison. So, from what I've gathered from watching the trial and hearing other lawyers on YouTube talk about it, it sounds like she is going to be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. I may add an extra clip into the end of this episode after watching the sentencing, but I wanted to get on here and post this and get this out there so that everyone can hear and know that Letecia Stauch has been found guilty. She is going to prison, not a mental institution. They found her guilty. Guilty on all 4 counts. I don't remember if in the first episode, if I told you guys what her charges actually were. So she was charged with murder in the first degree, murder of a person under the age of 12 in a position of trust, meaning someone under the age of 12 who was in your care, who they trusted. Tampering and moving a body, and then tampering with evidence. And the jury found her guilty on all 4 counts. After the verdict was read, the jury was dismissed, and the judge went and spoke with the jury outside of the courtroom for about 30 minutes. When he came back, they did victim statements. And the victim statements were absolutely heartbreaking. Friends of Gannon's family, great aunts and uncles, grandparents, they all had so much to say. And one of Gannon's great aunts, I believe her name was Veronica, said that she prayed for Letecia and prayed for her forgiveness and prayed that she could forgive Letecia. She bought her a Bible and had the lawyers give it to her, and said that she hoped that Letecia repented for her evil ways and that God would have mercy on her and forgive her. Then we heard from Gannon's parents, Landon and Al. Landon spoke first, and her words were so powerful. She said that Gannon was born a fighter, weighing only 1 pound 6 ounces. And she began to cry and said that Gannon left this world as a fighter. That broke me. The fact that he came in fighting and he left fighting. Whenever Al took the stand, whenever he came and gave his statement, he was already in tears. And he didn't know if he was going to be able to make his statement. Unfortunately, I did not get to listen to all of Al's statement because I had an appointment starting right as he was beginning his speech. But you could see every emotion on his face. You could tell that he was absolutely heartbroken, devastated, relieved that Letecia got the verdict that she did. But that doesn't bring Gannon back. I did go back and watch the sentencing. And I adore the judge who was presiding over this case, Gregory Warner. He is a king. I say he ripped Letecia a new one, but he did it in such a way. It was almost like, young lady, I'm so disappointed in you. You could tell that he was just astounded at what she had done to Gannon. He said before giving the sentencing that he has seen a lot of people who have committed crimes. He has been the judge in many courts, in many cases where there has been a parent hurting a child or an unhappy spouse that led to a crime being committed. But he said that without a doubt, this was the most horrendous case that he has ever been over. After finishing his own little statement, he read the sentencing. In regards to one count of first-degree murder, life sentence without parole. In regards to murder under a child, in regards to murder to a child under the age of 12 years old in a position of trust, life sentence, no parole. In regards to moving a body, 12 years to be served consecutively with the previous 2 life sentences. When it comes in regards to tampering with evidence, 18 months, which is to be served consecutively with the 12 years and 2 life sentences. Letecia Stauch is going away for the rest of her life. She is going to be behind bars until the day she dies. She will never hurt another person, another child, ever again. And while, like I said before, this sentencing, this verdict, it cannot bring Gannon back. I believe that the Stauch family, Landon, Al's new wife, I believe that maybe, just maybe, this will give them some closure and a sense of peace. Landon said that for the first time in 3 years, she's going to be able to sleep and sleep soundly tonight. To Gannon and his family, I have not known about you as long as a lot of other people have, only a few weeks now, but I truly believe that Gannon and his story have touched hundreds of thousands of lives, including mine. I know that this verdict and this sentencing will never bring Gannon back, but I hope and I pray that it brings you some sort of closure and some sense of peace, knowing that justice was served. the world had Ganon's back today. I am sorry that the world couldn't be there to keep him alive. But I know that every single person who has heard about your son, about Ganon, they would have put themselves between him and this monster without a second thought. I am praying for you and your families. I am praying for healing. I am praying for restoration. And I pray that you feel the peace and the comfort of the Lord. I know that's not typically what you hear in a true crime podcast, but just feel like that really needs to be said. And that will wrap the trial of Letecia Stauch. If you are so inclined, you can go back and watch the trial in its entirety on YouTube on the Law and Crime Network. That's where I watched. Absolutely love that they had the trial broadcast so that we could watch and so that we could be involved. You should also check out the episode for this case on Big Mad True Crime. Heather Ashley does an incredible job at covering cases and making sure that the victim is the focal point of the case. With that being said, I hope that y'all have enjoyed this bonus episode. We've got a full episode coming to you on Wednesday, and this one is also going to be quite a doozy. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready to ride the roller coaster of crazy. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for listening to For the Record with Tess Heard. I hope you decide to come back and give us another listen next week.